Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video coming at you. This is Tuned in Sports. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett. Steve.
I'm done.
And they are DENT SPORTS. Make sure you guys check out their content as well. And with that being said, we're going to move in to today's division, which is the AFC North. Pretty interesting division for sure. Starting with the Baltimore Ravens. I'll let Mr. Bengals fan give his positive comments about the Ravens first.
Oh, shoot. This is going to be a tough video.
It's going to be a beating.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, but they're a good organization. And definitely with the QB they got there and the off-season moves they've made with like the Coyas Campbell trade, and that was pretty much a steal to me. Just well-ran organization, always relevant, unlike mine. But yeah, good organization, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about them.
You sure you don't want to expand a little bit more?
No, I don't.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I would have to agree. Definitely a well-run organization. Obviously, the quarterbacks won the league MVP last year, so, obviously he's a bright spot. I think in some cases he could definitely improve in the passing, but he is still only in his second or third season, so I think that's only going to get better with time. And one thing that he didn't mention is they have an excellent coach in Mr. John Harbaugh, one of the, in my mind, probably one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the league. Yeah, excellent ran organization, excellent team. They always, year to year, it's defense, it's running the ball, and, you think, oh, well, if you just stop the run, you beat them, but year to year, they always still win. It just seems like it's not a secret what they're going to do, but nobody can stop it. And then, on defense, they just seem to have monsters all over the field that just play well. So, yeah, great team.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a consensus across the board here. My opinion, the road to the, Super Bowl could very well go through Baltimore. If it's not going through Kansas City. So definitely one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC right now. Dangerous quarterback, passing is getting much better. John Harbaugh's done a wonderful job of using his abilities, and basically there's almost not an answer for him until the day he gets hit, and then we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
so far that hasn't happened, and he seems to be fairly smart about not taking hits. So as long as he stays healthy, the sky's the limit. And the one thing that team always has is defense, and when you have defense, you're going to be in games.
Yep.
And so I think that's just going to be a reoccurring theme for this season.
Yeah.
And I definitely favor them to win the division.
Yep.
Especially with the Bengals are young and upcoming. Browns are the Browns, and the Steelers, I don't know. They seem to be better than advertised every season, and this could be another year like that. It seems like Roethlisberger's off to a pretty decent start, but my money's on the Ravens to win this division.
Yeah, I liked this team when I was in Cleveland. We had really good success against them when they were the Browns. But unfortunately, they moved, and since they moved, they became a whole different franchise. Even seems like with the loss of Ozzie Newsome as their GM and draftee guy, that they haven't missed a beat. They seem to be just picking up the players like they have been ever since they went to Baltimore with it. So, great team. John Harbaugh, model of consistency. He knows exactly what he wants to do every week, and it's the same thing. And you know what? Here it is. Line it up. Good luck. And that's the thing that's with it. So, but again, another team that wish my team was kind of like, where it's stout on defense, smash mouth your run game, and then make passes when you need to make passes when it's due. I mean, I would like to open up a little bit more offense than that, but for what the weapons he had, you could saw with Flacco it wasn't gonna last very long. And we picked his butt up, and he was a complete failure for us, just like Bortles is going to be. Number 5. Hey, same uniform. Here you go. We're just going to rip off the back and put your.
Can you feel the love?
Yeah, exactly. You got a bright future with Driscoll and Bortles all the way. So then, like I said, Ravens is like you said, you're going to have your A game when you go in there and hope they have an A- or a B game.
Yep.
To usually beat them. But again, as always, like I said before, is make them throw. Mm-hmm. If you can make them throw and it's predictable, and you're not down 21 to 28 points, the odds will be forever in your favor. That's with it. So hopefully, that will continue for them. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I definitely see this division running through Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one last thing that I wanted to mention was, what was it that I wanted to mention? This part's gonna get cut out because I literally can't remember what the hell it was that I was gonna say.
Coach football
defense. So one last thing that I wanted to mention, guys, is that I know that. If you watch any football at all, you know that they haven't had tremendous success in the postseason since Lamar's gotten there. And, once they seem to get to the playoffs, they've just caught, they basically haven't been the same team that they were in the regular season. But I think that's going to be coming to an end before too long. I think they're going to get it figured out. And when they do, it's only a matter of time before... I don't think it's just going to be this season. I think it's going to be nearly every season, just like the Chiefs. It's going to be nearly every season where, if you want to win, you better be able to beat them or be prepared to face them in the playoffs because they're not going anywhere. No. So, and like Don said it best, they're just a model of consistency. They're just another one of those teams that we talk about where this player leaves, this player comes, this player signs, this player gets traded, and they're the same team year after year. It doesn't seem to matter what's going on. And to me, that's good ownership as well as the coach. And that's why I think, to me that the coach is one of the best ones in the NFL, and I definitely would put him at the very least in the top 5. I know there's a lot of great coaches in the NFL, but I would say top 3 personally, but at least you got to say probably top 5 because he's just excellent, has been for a long time. And the fact that a couple of years ago they were talking about him being on the hot seat, to me was absolutely disrespectful.
I'd love to see him come to my team.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We'll take him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I thought that
unhappy, let us have it, please.
Yeah, that was.
We'll trade you straight across for Patricia.
yeah, get rid of him and sign.
I'll even throw in a draft pick or 2 if you need it.
Yeah. Hugh Jackson, he's available, right? He can fill in for Harbaugh. I mean, give me a break. I was like, man, I don't care who you have. Pretty much, there's only a couple of teams that I would say. Don't immediately get rid of your coach and sign that guy instead. Because, like I said, he's a can't miss.
To me, it's all, it's up for management. He's only as good as the people they allow him to bring in. So, and their upper management seems to be forward thinkers.
Yep.
And so when that happens, I mean, he's got a chance to be successful.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And well, moving on to the Bengals, probably the only team you can.
The only team I can stand in the division. I see things headed in an upward trend. Like, unfortunately, 2-14 last season wouldn't necessarily make you think that, but a lot of young talent there, I think. New coach from last year, I mean, got to still bring in his players and figure out where the team's headed forward. But you know what? I feel like this team has a direction now that they want to go. Whereas before, when Lewis was there, kind of the opposite.
Well, they were consistent though.
Yeah, they were
I mean,
decent.
They were making playoffs, so it's
they were
not
decent,
as if they weren't good.
But especially now, I mean, last off season, they actually went out and spent a lot of money to bring in some players. Whether they've really worked out yet is yet to be determined. But
you can't criticize them for trying.
Yeah, Trey Waynes is already injured.
Yeah.
DJ Reader kind of underperformed so far. The D-line hasn't been all that great. Definitely need to stitch that up. Heard some rumors that we were interested in Snacks Harrison from former Lion. Really would love it if the organization could get that going. But
another guy that came into Detroit and performed at a pretty high level, so they're like, see ya, don't want that here. Right? So, yeah, no.
We'll get to that in due time.
But wait, one more thing I wanted to say is I love that we signed Mixon to an extension, and also love that we how Burrow's playing. Definitely a bright future there with the quarterback position.
Yeah, I don't know how you can really complain about it. I definitely think the first 2 weeks when they have or the first handful of games when they have lost, it definitely wasn't really on him. I feel like, especially as a rookie with no preseason, he played about as well as you can play, and gave him a chance to win both times. And in the first game, especially, he gave him more than a chance to win. But Pegleg decided to miss it. But moving forward, I think it's gonna take him a little bit of time to get everything really ironed out. I think that they could definitely get better and could be one of those teams that is like on the door and maybe fighting for a playoff spot in the upcoming or next coming years. But I do think that it's going to be a little while before we're talking like Super Bowl contender, just because I think they've got a lot of areas that need work on. And I'm not sure about the coach. I think from what I've seen, he's okay, but I don't think he's, anything to write home about. I think he's just another coach in the league, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know if there needs to be a change made there. I mean, so far I don't think that he's done a horrible job, but I'm just saying we'll see as the talent progresses what he's made of. But I think in the near future, like I say, maybe 3-4 years, I see the Bengals potentially being a consistent playoff team and fighting for, to win the division.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I don't think they're years away. I think they're a couple of defensive players away. Offensively, I think they got more than enough weapons. Burrow's only going to get better. If the offensive line holds, there's nothing but good things coming for that franchise. As far as the coach goes, I mean, he had no preseason. I think it's early to judge him. The fact that they're in these games early is good. I think they could have won. They possibly could have won both games, really. So they could be sitting here 2-0 real easy.
Yeah, they should have won the Chargers game, but my knee.
Well,
or
you can point
also-
you can point to that all you want, but I mean,
Also,
there's a reason they were in that position of needing to make that. So
well,
there's a lot of other factors involved in why you lose games. I mean, but I agree. But I think overall, though, the Bengals are looking good. I mean, that potentially could be a really solid division in a couple of years. Because it looks like, Cleveland's kind of going in the right direction now, and the Steelers are always good. And we already talked about Baltimore being pretty much the staple of that whole division. So I see good things coming, and as long as they're able to keep Burrow upright and progress on the defensive side of the ball, I don't see any reason why that team can't be real competitive in a hurry.
Yeah, the Bengals are perfect. Oh, no, they're not. Anyway, was that illegal? Contact? Cincinnati. What can we say? At least they're doing the right things now. They're at least moving in the right direction. They're getting, correct players in positions instead of the people going into the penitentiary. So that's the nice thing that's with it. You know what I mean? They got the guys that are supposed to be there. And they're making them. They're improving with it. So with Burrow, it's definitely again, this is what you're supposed to do with the first round pick overall. And make the right decision, make the call, get the franchise QB, and he's done a great job. And he's continuing from LSU. You've got the horse in the back with Mixon again. If he stays healthy, he doesn't decide to get in his head like Le'Veon Bell. If he just accepts his role and be grateful for what he has instead of spouting out the mouth, it'll be good for him too as well. And then again, it looks like they're trying to address some of the stuff on defense, and they need to protect Burrow in the long run. So if they do those things, then first steps first, right? You got to get at least a few wins under your belt, and then the next step is try to get to 500, and then just keep moving up from there.
Yeah.
So.
One thing I kind of also noticed is that's something that they didn't really do before was go outside of the organization looking for players. Especially, in the Lewis era, it seemed like we were only re-signing players rather than looking for talent that might be better on different teams. So that's a really nice thing I've noticed.
Well, they only looked for players that had records, and all those players that weren't on their team were on the Raiders. So
or perfect eventually end up on the Raiders.
Right.
It's
That's
nice.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Bengals.
Pool was limited.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the Bengals trade in the orange jumpsuits for the orange unis.
Yeah. No, with them though, like I said, they were, again, you go to the playoffs 11 times, you got to make at least some noise into it, and so they weren't complete, garbage even with Palmer or Dalton.
No, they weren't.
They had talent. It was just, again, just like we talked about the team before. What's the consistency? Harbaugh. There's the difference right there. You take Lewis and Harbaugh, and it's just like it's not even close.
Yep.
And I think if those players were probably under Harbaugh, you'd probably have a playoff team going deep, making runs with all those teams that were, years in the prior years. But it is what it is, and this is where we're at now.
Yep.
So just keep building.
Yep.
Yeah, and one way or another, I think Don said it best when he said, next, get a couple wins this year, next year aim for 500, and then keep building from there. I definitely think that should be their goal because, at least, barring that Lamar stays healthy, I think that the Ravens are going to be an animal to deal with for the coming years. I'm not saying that they can't play with them, but I think they're going to be difficult to deal with. But the Steelers, on the other hand, the Steelers always just plug and play, so they're still going to be there. But Roethlisberger, he's, going to be retiring before too long. He's already said he was retiring, twice now, and then the season ends with him getting injured, and he's like, oh, I'm coming back for another year. So we'll see what happens with that. But my guess is if he is healthy for a full season, he's going to call it quits. And then at least for the, upcoming future, they're going to be probably in the quarterback hunt or looking for somebody. And I think when that's going on is the Bengals' opportunity to really establish themselves in that division. And then I think, they'll start getting taken seriously and make some noise. If they do some of the things we've already established.
Yeah, work with the O-line.
Yeah.
Get some pieces there.
It's to me, in today's NFL, you don't have time to sit there and say, well, 5 years from now we're going to be good, because you're not going to be the coach in 5 years. If you don't win now or within a couple of seasons, you're gone. Now, the Bengals, I can say at least they would keep coaches a little longer than most teams have. But that's also because they were winning. They were going to the playoffs every year. So, I don't know.
Well,
I tend to agree that, the plan should be to win as many games as you can and then do the best you can next year and hopefully get around 500. But I think they have to have goals more lofty than just going to 500.
Well, the only reason I think it's fine for the Bengals is because they're starting from crap. I mean, they won 2 games last year?
Right, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. In today's NFL, you're gone if you don't win.
Well, yeah, but if you improve every season, then I think you're going to. And if they do the things we talked about, there's no reason they shouldn't, right?
No.
So,
they should be.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. If they do the things we talked about, then they're going to improve. And they should be better than 500, I think. Because you said earlier they're a couple players away. So
yeah, I don't think it's a big. I don't think it's a big jump.
Yeah, so that's why I say.
Yeah. But again, as most of the teams, though, you can have talent, but until you learn how to win,
Yep,
it
exactly.
doesn't matter. You might have all the talent in the world, but if they don't know how to win, put it together, then they're just going to keep repeating the same pattern.
Yep, or if the coach gets in the way, Texans. Sorry, I had a nuts in my throat there. Speaking of not knowing how to win, let's get into the Browns. Yeah, they suck. I think Baker is just a bust. I think he's shown promise, but he's just another turnover machine. And when you get against the Steelers and the Ravens and teams in this division that are known for their defense, you can't have a quarterback like that leading your team.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're going to spend the entire season chasing the ball as the defense runs it the other direction.
To me, I mean, I would like to kind of echo what he said about Mayfield, but he managed to have a pretty good game against us, but why is that? We didn't have a good defense. We don't have good defense, so I'm not really surprised by that. I look at him as a inconsistent quarterback, shown promise, but just... And as far as the Browns go, I see them staying stale where they are right now. Constantly going 8-8, not going into the playoffs.
I think they're a quarterback away from going into the playoffs. But the problem is that it's going to be a whole nother season. And who knows if OBJ is going to want to stick around for another quarterback and another coach and another this and another that. Or if he's going to be leaving. And Jarvis Landry, I don't know how many years he has left on his contract. But again, if people start leaving, then it might be, all right, time to find the next team. And then you're rebuilding again.
The main problem I see is we hear this racket these last couple years about, Browns got a lot of talent. And then they have nothing to show for it. So that's why I think the way I do.
Well, I think that's because of the quarterback. Mostly.
Well, when your history pretty much shows you that the one thing you are consistent at is losing, it's easy to have that mentality, like, not as a player, but as somebody that's doing a show like this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about that's positive with the Browns.
Yep.
You know, and yeah, they do have talent. They got plenty of it.
Yeah.
I think the running game they got there is as good as anybody in the league.
Yep.
They got 2 awesome running backs. They
Yeah,
got probably the best receiving core in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't be contending.
Except for Baker. That's the only
But-
reason.
well-
That's the only reason I see. You know what I mean? Besides maybe coaching, but even that, I think.
I mean, in my opinion, I mean, they got all the stuff needed. And, I mean, the defense seems to be solid. I mean, not great, but definitely not doormat.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think over the next few years, this division is going to be a tough one. There's going to be a lot of battling going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the teams in this division are. I mean, the Steelers are the only ones that I could see potentially going down a little bit when Roethlisberger leaves. But
Knowing
I mean,
the
who
Steelers,
knows?
though, that'll be for like a season, right?
Well, yeah, and
Because
then-
last year
and
they
then the
were
Bills will
winning
get
with.
in there.
I was going to say Stafford's coming over.
Yeah, last year they
You know
were.
what I mean? That'd be the perfect replacement, right?
Yeah.
Last
Looks the same way.
last year they were winning with Ducky Rogers or whatever the
Yeah.
heck his name was,
Duck and Hodges.
and Hodges and the dude from
Bennett.
Oklahoma State,
Mason
Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Yeah, so
I mean, I think it's going to be a very tough division. I mean,
Yep.
and I think before long it's going to be, you're going to, you get through that division and win it, you're going to be pretty tough to beat in the playoffs.
yeah. Well, and I think that division in general, the biggest thing is you can't have. Well, there's 2 things you can't have. First of all, you can't have an offense that turns the ball over all the time, and you have to have a solid defense because that's what the teams that win the division commonly have. You know, the Ravens and the Steelers, they're known for defense and just solid offensive line play and not really turning the ball over too much. They kill with the time of possession because they can run the ball and they just hold on to the ball, and you make a mistake and they always capitalize. Always. So I really just think that the Browns, they have the talent to be able to play with these teams, but we're going to have to see. It really, to me, just comes down to who they have at quarterback. That's really the biggest thing, because I don't think Baker is it. And I just, apart from him, if they had, some of these other people, like for instance, if they would have made a move during the offseason and brought in somebody like, Teddy Bridgewater, for instance, I think we're looking at a team that is at least competing for the division and at the very least in the running for a wild card spot, especially in the AFC, because I feel like the NFC is tougher than the AFC overall. But I mean, I don't know for sure, but just from what I've watched. So, yeah.
I was going to say, with the Browns, first things they got to do is just stop doing the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
That kills any team.
Yeah.
Because you're always restarting. And just as you've seen with a lot of quarterbacks, including Alex Smith, is until he got Jim Harbaugh in there for a while, guess what happened? Guy's an all-pro, and everybody's kissing his feet. So I think the same thing, I think with Mayfield, I think he's got to get stability there.
Yeah.
And then once he's able to learn a system for a couple of years, he might be able to be efficient at it.
Yeah.
The thing
That's
he's
true.
got right now is 2 studs with Chubb and then the former Chief and Hunt. And then the offensive line, as far as the run game, is really damn good. But they just need to learn how to pass protect a little bit better, too.
Yeah, that too.
I think OBJ was a complete failure as far as a free agent pickup. He's just a cancer. He was that in New York. I mean, he made 1 catch, and everybody thinks he's the the greatest thing. Most of the time, he's in a little fights with the kicking net or Josh Norman, or you know what I mean. He's a Kardashian, is what he is, and you don't need a Kardashian on your team. You need a football player. So again, I think they could have spent that monetary portion either on a solid receiver and then more defense, and I think that would have helped them. Just as long as Garrett doesn't swing around his helmet and hit people with it. They're fine with that. But again, they need more front seven help to help the secondary. I think the secondary is actually okay from what I've seen in a lot of their games. But again, if there's no pressure on the quarterback, then there's no amount of time that you can cover for that long.
Yep.
So I think they need more interior D line and then some linebacker help with it, and I think they'll be all right.
Yep. And we see from watching the offense what happens when the quarterbacks have no time to throw. The difference between that and the quarterbacks have all day to throw. The difference is the Browns offense compared to other offenses in the league where people are just standing back there checking all the different routes like, oh, okay, who looks like they're going to be open, and let's just check it down to this guy. So,
well, I mean, the perfect example is interdivision with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You watch Roethlisberger in his time compared to if most quarterbacks had that much amount of time, it's a different ball game.
they'd be pretty consistent too. Exactly. Speaking of Roethlisberger and the Steelers, I guess let's go ahead and transition into them. I know that probably your favorite team.
No, not my favorite team at all. Another one, good organization. Always seem to not lose a step, no matter what moves they make, who they bring in. Mike Tomlin's a solid coach. Ben's been a solid quarterback for a very long time, despite injuries his last couple seasons. I just don't see anything changing, even once Ben leaves. They're like the Ravens, definition of consistency. So that's just my opinion.
I think that wraps it up. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can say other than, unless something drastically changes there where, the coach leaves or something like that, I don't see it changing much. I do think when Ben leaves, they may take a step back depending on who goes in. But overall, yeah, they're just solid. They win they win games the right way. They win it with defense, which is kind of how you're supposed to do it, I think. Something my organization knows nothing about, but we'll get to them in due time.
We're going to be getting to them next, actually, because we're doing the North for AFC, so that means NFC North up next. As far as the Steelers go, at this point, I think really you're going to hear a lot of the same things because they're just a model of consistency. Every single year, like I said earlier, like they've said, and like others probably will say, every single year, it doesn't seem to matter who goes in, who goes out, what free agents what players they lose to free agency, which people re-sign. They're just right there. They lost Antonio Brown and not everybody, but a lot of people were thinking that that was gonna take a hit to the offense, and for the most part, they really haven't lost any steam at all. They look pretty much the same. Le'Veon was doing everything that he was doing and making a big hoopla about, getting paid and all this other stuff. Now he's over there sucking on the Jets, and, the Steelers are still winning. I'm just being honest, He'll be watching Pittsburgh at home on his couch in a few months here, and if he would have just kept his mouth shut and just said, hey, let's work it out or whatever, or even if he did, stay with the contract talks or whatever, but not been such a
prima donna.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking of a few other words, but yeah, let's go with that one. If he would have just not been the way he was, I still think eventually he may have gotten his money. But the way he handled it was just piss poor, and now he's, like I said, he's on the Jets, and well, that's about as much as there is to say about that one. But I just think the Steelers, they're constantly doing well. And another thing that I wanted to mention about some of these teams, a perfect example that I think of is like the Chiefs. They picked last in the first round of the draft last year because they won the Super Bowl, obviously. And you think of, okay, all these other teams had 31 picks before. They got all these incredible players and stuff going off the board. How many of them do you see or you completely forget about? But yet the guy they drafted, Edwards-Helaire, however you say his name, that dude is balling all over the damn field. And they picked dead last. And the Steelers, the reason I say the Chiefs is to segue into the Steelers, in that every single season they're in the playoffs. So pretty much. So they're not getting these prime opening couple of picks, like guaranteed star type players, but yet for whatever reason half of these people, like the Browns, half their picks aren't even in the league in 3 years, and yet the Steelers guy, every one they draft and I'm not saying every single one because obviously that's the way NFL goes, but for the most part the people that you see the Steelers get, they turn into stars in the coming years. I'm pretty sure they got Juju Smith-Schuster from the draft, right? And they got
the Claypool.
Yeah, and
he's turned out to be awesome.
Yeah, and the year that they got Juju
Smith, his right arm is pretty awesome. Push him off. I don't know about how good he is, but yeah, he's alright.
The year that they got Juju Smith-Schuster in the draft, I guarantee you they weren't picking in the top 5. So look at all these other teams that picked other people and, that went before them who probably aren't in the league now. And meanwhile, the Steelers have a star. And they pick, all these other teams passed on them. So there's just a difference. There's just a difference. That's all I can say.
I think Andy Reid saw on his chart that said Eclair is what I think, and that's the reason he drafted him. I don't think he didn't know what it was. I was all of a sudden like, I got an Eclair. Okay, it's on the board.
He's not seeing much through his mask these days.
It must have been all fogged up at that time. But anyway, with that is, again, another organization very similar to what I just said about the Browns, right? What is that the Browns need to do is just what Pittsburgh does, right? Yep. Front seven is brutal. The secondary is soft. But guess what? This front seven they get home, so the secondary does not get exposed as bad. And so that's exactly, the blueprint for the Steelers. That's what they do. They'll get you with edge rushers, linebacker blitzes, up and down all day against you. And the beautiful thing about it is they never seem to get tired. Yeah. All my players, and they train in altitude, and they're like, oh man, third or fourth quarter, I can't do this. Yeah. Pittsburgh's going all day long. I mean, Dupree and Watt, and it's just like, this is amazing. But again, those are the guys that you have to do your research on. Like, hey, do these guys have a motor? And you got to be able to have that motor to play the whole game, and that's where you got to draft. Offensive side, thankful that Antonio Brown went fucking nuts. Le'Veon Bell became a prima donna, like we said. And then Ben has had injuries with it. Because if those pieces were still there, it would be a long year for everybody. Whoever plays them. So thankfully all that happened and it splintered. But again, as what we said earlier, hey, you're going to get Juju Smith-Schuster. You're going to get these other pieces that looks like they have a couple more rookies that are going to fill the receiver role with them, or second-year guys like Washington. Yeah. They're going to come in, and that Claypool kid from Notre Dame. So, they're just going to step right in, and then they'll be the next ones that goes with it. But like I said, the running game takes a huge drop off from Bell to now Connor. I thought Connor was going to be good or decent, coming from Pitt, and then with his backstory and all that stuff. But he's serviceable, though. It's not like he's junk out there. Yeah. He's actually done really well, but like you said, he's not the all-pro, all-star like Bell was. No. So.
But with that front five, do you need you don't really need to be. No, you can be anybody.
No, you can be anybody with it. But again, that's the thing, though, right? that puts that separation between you and other teams. Is you if you have that line play again, very similar to like the Cowboys situation. And, you can put a below average running back, but if they're making holes, 3 people wide. Anybody can run through it. I mean, if the guy's running at 4.3 and the other one's running at 4.5, it's not going to make that much of a difference if that much of a hole is plowed through. Against somebody else's defense. So again, Steelers always in it all the time.
Yeah, almost to the point where it's like, can they just take a season off?
Like I miss the days of pre Tommy Maddox and some of those years. Kind of where the Bubby Brister years. When they were down, it was kind of nice. Because just got done with all the 70s and 80s and. The steel curtain and all that. Can we give a couple of those like super successful years to the other Pennsylvania team? That might be nice. I might enjoy that a little bit.
I'm still pretty upset over the whole 2015 playoff game. That was ridiculous, man. We literally threw it away. In typical Bengals fashion.
It was perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. It ended
and then Pac-Man came on to show him who's boss.
Yeah.
It's like, walk away.
Yes.
But again, who lets the Steeler coach run on the field? But
I guess Porter from Colorado State. I guess that's who can do it. I guess.
Well, and with the things that happened at the end of the this game he was referring to, if roles were reversed, you wouldn't see a Mike Tomlin defense doing that kind of crap.
No, because Mike would go out there and trip him.
Just say he wouldn't have any reason to.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like he did with the
Ravens, right?
Yeah, Ravens. Yeah, whoop, trip. See ya.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I didn't know. He was going for a touchdown. That's a penalty.
I thought somebody was passing out over there. Sorry.
I thought it was Ray Lewis.
Yeah, but
took a stab at it.
I think.
But like everybody was saying earlier, I think it will be a competitive division in these next couple seasons.
But for this season,
to say the least, Ravens I got winning it this season again.
Ravens, probably not close.
Ravens.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll see what the Steelers look like. I think they're really the only competition. But from what I've seen of the Steelers this year, they don't look like the classic Steelers. I mean, they have qualities, but I don't think that they're as good as they've been. But again, when you lose players like Bell and Antonio Brown and stuff like that, you're not going to be as potent. I mean, those are two great players.
Big pieces.
So they can replace and refill, but all-star players are all-star players. So, but with that being said, guys, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on all the notifications so you can get an update every single time that we post something. And we will be bringing you guys more of these division breakdowns. As I mentioned earlier, the next division we'll be doing is the NFC North. So make sure you tune in because Dad's going to have a lot of fun things to share with us all about, the Packers and some of these glorious teams. So with that being said, guys, my name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
Steve.
I'm Don.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.